Cancel your appointment and come clean the house. It's the least you can do, my daughter-in-law said. When I answered no, she stood up and screamed in front of everyone. You're worthless. I grabbed my purse and walked out without looking back. Days later, she lost everything. Those words came out of my daughter-in-law Victoria's mouth as if they were the most natural thing in the world. We were in the middle of my granddaughter Emma's birthday party, surrounded by 30 guests, purple balloons everywhere, and the sweet smell of the birthday cake I had baked myself since 5 in the morning. Before we continue, please subscribe to the Granny's Voice channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are watching from now. We might give you a shout out in our next video. Today's shout out goes to Sandra Thornton from Westwego. Thank you for being part of this great family. Now let me tell you what happened that day. I had the phone pressed to my ear. On the other end, Mr. Blackwood, the antiques appraiser, had just offered me $90,000 for the opal necklace I inherited from my mother. $90,000. It was my salvation, my only way to have something of my own. After 12 years of feeling like a stranger in my own home, but Victoria didn't care. She planted herself in front of me in those black patent leather heels she always wears to look taller, more powerful. Her expensive perfume hit my nose. Eleanor, are you listening to me? The kitchen is a disaster. Cancel that ridiculous call and get to cleaning. It's the least you can do after we give you a roof over your head. I felt something inside me break, or perhaps it was set free. I lowered the phone. I looked Victoria straight in the eyes. And for the first time in 12 years, in 4,380 days of humiliation, I said, no. The silence that followed was deafening. The guests stopped talking. Even the music seemed to quiet down. Victoria blinked twice as if she hadn't understood. What did you say? I said, no, Victoria. I'm on an important call. Her face transformed. Surprise turned into a fury I had never seen. She shot up from her chair so fast she knocked it over. The sound of metal on the floor made Emma jump. And then she screamed. She screamed for everyone to hear. You're worthless. You are a useless burden just taking up space in this house. The birthday cake I had prepared with so much love was still untouched on the table. The purple balloons swayed in the breeze. My granddaughter Emma looked at me with tears in her eyes. And my son Daniel, my only son, remained seated. His eyes fixed on his plate as if nothing was happening. I picked up my brown leather purse, the one Robert gave me on our 30th anniversary. I ran my hand over the worn leather, feeling its familiar texture, its promise of better times. I looked one last time at Daniel waiting. I don't know what I was waiting for anymore. And I left. I walked through the guests with my head held high, even though inside I felt like I was crumbling. I heard the murmurs, the pitying glances, the uncomfortable silence I left in my wake. I didn't look back. What none of them knew, what Victoria never imagined while she screamed at me in front of everyone, was that the call she interrupted wasn't just any call. Mr. Blackwood was waiting for my answer about the opal necklace. Those iridescent stones that shined with all the colors of the rainbow, the same ones my mother gave me on her deathbed, telling me, keep these for when you really need them. That moment had arrived. But what happened next, what I discovered in the following days, was much worse than anyone could imagine. And Victoria, with all her venom and arrogance, had no idea that that scream, that insult in front of 30 witnesses, had just sealed her fate. If you have ever been made to feel worthless in your own home, stay until the end of this story. Because what's coming nobody saw coming. And if this confession is striking a chord with you, subscribe to the channel to keep sharing stories like this, stories that need to be told. I arrived at Dorothy's house with dry eyes. The tears had run out on the way. She opened the door, saw my face, and didn't ask a single question. She just hugged me. But to understand how I got to that moment, to that scream that broke me in two in front of 30 people, I need to go back. I need to tell you how a 68-year-old woman, the owner of her own home, ended up feeling like an unpaid servant in the place she built with her husband. It all started 12 years ago when Robert died. It was a Tuesday in October when the sky was so blue it seemed fake. Robert was watering the rose bushes in the garden, Those fuchsia flowers he loved so much when he just stopped. The heart attack was massive. He didn't even have time to call for me. I found him there among the flowers, the hose still in his hand. The first few months were a hell of silence. The house felt huge, empty, filled with the ghosts of conversations we would never have. Daniel came to visit me every weekend, worried, affectionate. He brought Victoria and Emma, who was just 6 months old then. "Mom, you can't stay alone in this big house," Daniel would say while pouring coffee. "Why don't we share the space? That way you won't be alone, and we could save on rent from our apartment." Sounded reasonable. Sounded like love. How naive I was. In the beginning, Victoria was a different person. Kind, considerate, even affectionate. She helped me with dinner, asked how I had slept, hugged me when she saw me looking sad. I thought I had gained not just a daughter-in-law, but a daughter. The transformation was gradual, so slow I didn't see it coming. It started with little things. Comment about my cooking. "Oh, Eleanor, don't you think you used a little too much salt?" Then about how I dressed. "At your age, you should wear more discreet colors, don't you think?" Then about my friends from the quilting group. "Those women just go to gossip. You're wasting your time." When Emma turned 1, Victoria quit her job to dedicate myself to the baby, she said. But the one who ended up taking care of Emma was me. The one who woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning with her crying. The one who prepared her baby food, changed her diapers, sang her to sleep. Victoria's going out with her friends because I need a break. Eleanor, being a mother is exhausting. And I stayed silent because I loved my granddaughter, because I thought this is how families were supposed to be, supporting each other. But there was one day that marked the true beginning of my nightmare. Emma was 3. I was making lunch when I heard the noise. Victoria had deliberately spilled her cup of coffee on the kitchen floor. I saw her do it. Eyes met. "Oh, I'm so clumsy," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Eleanor, can you clean this up? After all, you don't work. You have all the time in the world." Something in her tone chilled my blood. It wasn't a request. It was an order disguised as an accident. I cleaned the coffee, and the next day I cleaned up another accident and another and another. The following years were a downward spiral I didn't know how to escape. I was assigned tasks as if I were part of the house's inventory. Cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Wash everyone's clothes. Iron Daniel's shirts and Victoria's dresses. Clean the 3 bathrooms. Mop dust, tidy up. Meanwhile, Victoria and Daniel went out to fancy restaurants. They traveled to Miami, Las Vegas, and on Caribbean cruises. They came back tanned and happy with suitcases full of new clothes. "Mom, I brought you this shawl. I saw it and thought of you," Daniel would say, handing me something that was clearly the cheapest thing in the souvenir shop. I would smile and fold it in my tiny closet. 'Cause yes, my closet was tiny. 8 years ago, Victoria came into my bedroom, the master bedroom, the one I had shared with Robert for 35 years. "Eleanor, we need this room. It's bigger and Daniel needs space for his home office. You'll be more comfortable in the storage room off the laundry. It's cozy." The storage room, 10 feet by 8 feet, next to the laundry where the noise from the washer woke me up every morning at 6. Where the heat was unbearable in the summer because it had no fan. Where the smell of detergent seeped into my clothes, my hair, my lungs. But the room wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the loneliness. My only refuge was Thursdays. Every Thursday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I met with my quilting group at Dorothy's house. We were 6 ladies, all widows or divorced, all with stories to tell while we quilted blankets, placemats, shirts. Victoria hated those Thursdays. "You're going out again. Emma needs you," she'd say, even though Emma was perfectly fine playing on her tablet. "You're so selfish, Eleanor. You only think about yourself." But I went. It was the only thing I had left of myself. Until 3 months ago, something happened that should have opened my eyes for good. It was my birthday, 68 years old. I asked Victoria a month in advance if I could use the living room to invite my friends from the quilting group. We just wanted to have coffee, eat cake, chat. "Of course, Eleanor, it's your house too," she said with that perfect smile I had learned to distrust. The day of my birthday I came home from grocery shopping. I opened the door and found the living room full of Victoria's friends. Loud music, bottles of wine, appetizers everywhere. "Eleanor, just in time," Victoria shouted over the music. "We organized a last-minute get-together. Can you bring us more ice?" My friends were waiting for me at Dorothy's house. I had to call them to cancel. "Something came up," I told them, my voice breaking. Dorothy didn't believe me. "Eleanor, what is going on in that house?" "Nothing, Dorothy, everything is fine." But nothing was fine. And that day, while I served ice to Victoria's friends in my own living room on my birthday, something inside me began to die. Or maybe it began to wake up, because 3 months later on Emma's birthday, when Victoria screamed at me in front of everyone that I was worthless, that part of me that had been asleep, humiliated, and trampled on for 12 years finally said enough. Dorothy opened the door for me at 8 o'clock at night. She was wearing her flowered cotton robe, the one she wears when she's not expecting visitors, and her reading glasses hung from a gold chain. One look at my face was all it took for me to know she had been waiting for me. "Come in, Eleanor. The tea is already on." She didn't ask what happened. Dorothy has that wisdom that only 70 years of life and 40 of friendship can give. She knew I would talk when I was ready. I sat in her kitchen at that wooden table where we had quilted so many afternoons, where we had cried for our dead husbands, where we had laughed until our stomachs hurt. The smell of chamomile tea wrapped around me like a hug. "She screamed at me," I finally said. "In front of 30 people. She said I was worthless." Dorothy poured the tea into those white porcelain cups she treasures. She said nothing. She just waited. And then I fell apart. I told her everything. Not just about Emma's birthday, but everything else. The 12 years of small daily deaths, the looks of contempt, the accidents with the coffee, how they had taken my bedroom, how I had spent my last birthday serving ice. "I sleep next to the laundry room, Dorothy, in a room that doesn't even have a real window, just a skylight that lets in the sun and wakes me up at 5 in the morning." Dorothy set her cup down on the table with a sharp click. "And the house? Whose name is the house in?" I blinked. I hadn't thought about that in years. "Robert left it to me. I think." "You think?" Dorothy stood up with an energy I hadn't seen in months. "Eleanor, where are the papers for the house?" "In the study, but it's Victoria's office now. She keeps everything locked." Dorothy went to her room and came back with a folder. She opened it on the table and pulled out documents I recognized immediately. They were copies of the deeds Robert and I had signed when we bought the house 38 years ago. "When Robert died, did you sign anything to transfer the property?" I searched my memory. I remembered the first few months, the pain, the confusion, the meetings with lawyers, the inheritance papers, the will. "No, Robert left everything to me. There was nothing to transfer. I was the sole heir." "Then the house is still in your name, Eleanor. Your name, not Daniel's, not Victoria's, yours." Those words hit me like cold water. For 12 years, I had felt like an uncomfortable guest, like someone who should be grateful for a roof over her head. Victoria had repeated it to me so many times that I ended up believing it. But the house was mine. "You need to see those papers," Dorothy insisted. "You need to know exactly what documents are in that office and why Victoria has them under lock and key." I stayed at Dorothy's house that night. And the next and the next. Daniel called on the second day. His voice sounded tense, uncomfortable. "Mom, where are you?" "We're worried." "Worried? What a curious word." "I'm fine, Daniel. I need time to think." "Look, Mom. I already spoke to Victoria. She overreacted. Okay, you know how she gets when she's stressed with Emma's party, the expenses, all of it. Come home. We can talk about it." I heard a noise in the background. Victoria's voice, though I couldn't make out what she was saying. "I'm not coming back yet." "What?" Daniel's voice went up an octave. "Mom, don't be dramatic. It's your house too." "My house too." As if it were a concession. As if they were doing me a favor. "Goodbye, Daniel." I hung up before he could answer. My hands were shaking. During those 3 days, Dorothy and I talked like we hadn't in years. She told me things she had noticed but had never said, respecting my dignity, waiting for me to see it for myself. 2 years ago, at the neighborhood Christmas party, Victoria told the neighbors you were having memory problems, that you were forgetting things, getting confused. Froze. I don't forget anything, Dorothy. I know, but she's planting the idea, preparing the ground. For what? Dorothy looked at me with those gray eyes that had seen too much of the world. To declare you incompetent, Eleanor, to take everything from you. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in the bed in Dorothy's guest room, staring at the ceiling, feeling the pieces of a puzzle I didn't know I was assembling begin to fit. The comments about my age, the jokes about my memory, the way Victoria always interrupted me when I was talking to other people, finishing my sentences, correcting what I said. It wasn't carelessness. It wasn't casual disrespect. It was a plan. On the third day, Dorothy made scrambled eggs and toast for breakfast. We sat in her small dining room, the morning sun streaming through the window, and she said something that would change everything. I have a nephew, Marcus. He's a lawyer specializing in family law, cases like yours, cases like mine, financial and emotional elder abuse by family members. It's more common than you think, Eleanor. And it's a crime. The word crime hit me in the chest. I didn't want to get my son into legal trouble. I just wanted, what did I want? Respect. My house back. My life. I don't know, Dorothy. He's my son. And you are his mother. The woman who bore him, raised him, loved him. Doesn't that count? I had no answer for that. That afternoon, Daniel showed up at Dorothy's house. He brought flowers, the kind they sell at the grocery store, wrapped in cellophane. He looked tired but not sorry. Mom, enough with the drama. Let's go home. This isn't drama, Daniel. Victoria is very sorry. She already talked to Emma. Explained there was a misunderstanding. The girl misses you. Always Emma. They always used my granddaughter as emotional bait. And you, Daniel, what do you think about all this? He shifted uncomfortably in Dorothy's dining room chair. I think we all got upset, but we're family. Families fight and they forgive. When she screamed at me, you said nothing. You just sat there. I didn't want to make things worse. You didn't want to make your wife uncomfortable. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with truths neither of us wanted to face. Finally, Daniel sighed. What do you want me to do, Mom? Divorce her. Victoria is the mother of my child. And I was his mother. But apparently that mattered less. I'm going home, I said finally. But things are going to change, Daniel. I'm going to change. I went back to my house that afternoon. Victoria was waiting for me in the living room. When she saw me walk in, her eyes filled with tears. She ran to me and hugged me. Eleanor, forgive me. I don't know what got into me. The stress, the worries. I said horrible things, things I didn't mean. Her hug felt fake like everything else. But I hugged her back because Daniel was watching us from the stairs with hope in his eyes. It's okay, Victoria. You really forgive me. Her tears were dampening my blouse. Really. But inside something had changed. As I held her, smelling her expensive perfume and her crocodile tears, I remembered Dorothy's words. She's preparing the ground to take everything from you. And in that moment, hugging my daughter-in-law, who was crying fake tears, I made a decision. She was playing chess, I was going to play too. But she didn't know she had just woken up an opponent who had spent 12 years studying her every move. The first few days after my return were strangely calm. Victoria acted as if we were best friends. She'd ask if I slept well, poured me coffee in the mornings, even offered to help me make dinner. It was all such a perfect lie. It was almost laughable. Daniel seemed relieved. See, Mom, you just needed to talk. Things can work when we all do our part. I nodded, smiled, played along. But at night, in my room next to the laundry, with a smell of detergent embedded in the sheets, I thought I planned. I remembered every detail of what Dorothy had told me. The following Thursday I went to my quilting meeting. Victoria didn't object. Of course, Eleanor, enjoy your afternoon with the ladies. You deserve it. That kindness made me more nervous than her screaming. At Dorothy's house, my friends greeted me with hugs and worried looks. They all knew what had happened at Emma's birthday party. News travels fast in our neighborhood. Are you okay, Eleanor? Asked Ruby, the youngest of the group, barely 62. I'm learning, I replied. Dorothy pulled me aside into her kitchen while the others got out their threads and quilting hoops. My nephew Marcus wants to talk to you. He says it's urgent. Why urgent? Because he did some digging and he found things, Eleanor. Things you need to know. 2 days later, on a Saturday afternoon, while Victoria and Daniel had taken Emma to the movies, I went to Marcus's office. It was a modest building downtown, 3rd floor, no elevator. I climbed the stairs with my heart pounding against my ribs. Marcus was a man of about 45 with glasses and a kind smile that reminded me of Dorothy. He offered me water, coffee, a comfortable chair in front of his desk, which was piled high with files. Mrs. Eleanor, he said, my aunt told me about your situation. I did a little research with her permission, and there are things you need to know. He pulled out a folder. He opened it in front of me. Victoria Chen, 39 years old, compromised credit history. She owes a total of $180,000 between 3 credit cards, 2 personal loans, and a car loan. I couldn't breathe. $180,000. The interest is eating her alive. Excessive purchases, trips, restaurants. The spending pattern is unsustainable. I thought about all those trips to Miami, the designer clothes, the expensive shoes, the dinners at restaurants where one dish cost what I spent on groceries for a week. That's why she needs the house, I said softly. Exactly. Your house, according to the county assessor, has an approximate value of $850,000. My heart sank. I remembered the email. I had to correct him. I think it's more. I think it's worth millions. Marcus paused. Let me check oh, you're right. The assessment I pulled was old. The current market value is $3,850,000. My correction made it worse. If she manages to sell it, he continued, she can pay her debts and have plenty left over to start a new life. But there's a problem. The house is in my name. Correct. And according to the law, as long as you are alive and of sound mind, no one can touch that property without your consent. The word alive echoed in my head in a way I didn't like. And if someone declared me mentally incompetent? Marcus looked at me with those eyes that had seen too many cases like mine. Then your son, as the direct relative, could petition for legal guardianship. And with that guardianship, he could make decisions about your assets, including selling the house. Even if I disagree. If you are declared legally incompetent, your opinion no longer matters under the law. I leaned back in the chair. I felt the walls closing in. My aunt told me Victoria has been commenting in the neighborhood about your supposed memory problems. I don't have memory problems. I know, but she's building a narrative. Witnesses who can testify that you forget things, that you get confused, that you need supervision. It's a slow but effective process. What can I do? Marcus closed the folder and looked at me directly. Protect yourself. Document everything and be prepared for what's coming. I returned home with my head spinning. $180,000 in debt. My house worth almost $4 million. The pieces fit together with a clarity that made me sick. That night at dinner, Victoria dropped the bomb. Eleanor, we need to talk about something important. Daniel put his fork down. Emma was playing on her tablet in the living room. We want to remodel the house. It's needed a renovation for years. The bathrooms, the kitchen, the bedrooms, everything. Remodel, I repeated. Yes, we've been saving, but it's not enough. We need about $75,000 to start. $75,000. I don't have that kind of money, Victoria. But you have the necklace. Her voice was still sweet, but there was steel underneath. That opal necklace you guard so closely. My aunt has a jewelry store on the Magnificent Mile. She could appraise it. Give you a good price. It's already been appraised. $90,000. Victoria's eyes lit up. See. Perfect. You sell the necklace. We use $75,000 for the remodel and you keep $15,000. It's a win-win. To remodel my house. Our house, Eleanor. Daniel chimed in for the first time. We all live here. We all benefit. I stared at my plate of lentil soup. The spoon was trembling in my hand. I'll think about it. There's not much to think about, Mom. Daniel's voice hardened. It's only fair. We pay the utilities, the food, everything. I'll think about it. I repeated. Victoria smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. Don't take too long, Eleanor. Building materials are getting more expensive every day. That night, when everyone was asleep, I went down to the kitchen for a glass of water. The house was dark, silent. I passed by the study, Victoria's office. The door was slightly ajar. My heart was beating so loud I thought it would give me away. I went in. The desk was tidy, almost obsessively so. Colored folders, pens arranged by size, a closed laptop. I searched the drawers with trembling hands. In the third drawer, under some furniture catalogs, I found a green plastic folder. I opened it and my world stopped. They were property transfer documents for my house. But the signatures weren't mine. Someone had forged my signature on at least 5 different documents. Deeds, powers of attorney, sale authorizations. All of it was fake. Kept digging. Behind the green folder were envelopes. Opened one. Printed emails between Victoria and a real estate office in Lincoln Park. Dear Mrs. Chen, we confirm receipt of documentation. The house in Lincoln Park is ready to be listed as soon as we have the final deed. Suggested price $3,850,000. Our commission is 4%. Awaiting news. The date on the email, 2 weeks ago. There was another envelope. This one with the letterhead of a law firm. Subject: Process for declaration of mental incompetency. Client: Victoria Chen. Subject: Eleanor Walsh, my full name. Appointment: November 28th, 10:30 a.m. November 28th, 15 days from now. Took out my phone. With trembling hands, I photographed every document, every email, every paper in that cursed folder. When I finished, I put everything back exactly as I had found it. Closed the drawer. I left the office like a ghost. In my room, I sat on the bed and looked at the photos on my phone. The evidence was there, clear, irrefutable. Victoria didn't just want to take my house. She wanted to erase me, declare me incompetent, sell everything. And Daniel, my son, did he know? Was he an accomplice or just an idiot blinded by his wife? I didn't know. And that doubt hurt more than all the humiliations combined. But one thing I did know, I couldn't play the victim anymore. I opened my phone to text Dorothy. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, but I had to write. Dorothy, I have the proof. Everything. I'm going to Marcus tomorrow. This ends now. Her reply came in seconds. It's about time, Eleanor. It's about time. I lay down with the phone against my chest, feeling something I had forgotten existed for the first time in 12 years. Power. Sunday dawned with an aggressive sun that pierced through the skylight of my room. Victoria made a special breakfast. Pancakes and bacon, fresh squeezed orange juice. The smell filled the house. Sit down, Eleanor. I'm cooking today. You rest. Daniel was reading the newspaper. Emma was coloring in her princess book. It all looked like a perfect family scene from a magazine. But I had seen the documents. I knew the truth. And now every smile from Victoria felt like the edge of a knife. Have you thought about the necklace? Victoria asked as she poured coffee. The remodel can't wait. There's dampness in the walls, Eleanor. If we don't fix it soon, it'll get worse. I'm still thinking about it. What's there to think about? Daniel put down the paper. Mom, the necklace is just sitting in a box. You don't use it. You don't enjoy it. At least let it be used for something useful. Something useful like paying his wife's debts. It's the only thing I have left of my mother. And this house is the only thing we have left of Dad. Victoria sat across from me. She took my hand. Her fingers were cold. He would want us to take care of it, don't you think? To keep it beautiful. The manipulation was so obvious it was disgusting. But I smiled. You're right. Let me talk to the appraiser this week. Victoria's eyes lit up. Really? Really? But I want to make sure I get the best price. Of course. My aunt can help. She knows the best jewelers in the city. I'm sure she did. Jewelers who would give her a commission for every piece she brought them. That afternoon, while Victoria took Emma to a birthday party and Daniel took a nap, I went back to the study, this time more prepared. I had my phone fully charged and a mental list of what I needed to find. I opened the drawer again. The green folder was still there, but this time I dug deeper. Behind the furniture catalogs, I found another folder. This one was red, thicker. I opened it and I felt the floor move beneath my feet. They were account statements from credit cards in Victoria's name. The numbers were even worse than Marcus had said. Visa. Owed $287,450. Interest rate 42% APR. Nordstrom card. Owed $156,890. American Express. Owed $312,670. There was more. Loans from pawn shops, signed IOUs, even a loan from a payday lender with an interest rate of 8% a month. How had she reached this point? I looked at the dates. The spending went back 5 years. Dinners for $3,000, shoes for $12,000, a designer handbag that cost $45,000. All while I slept in a storage room and wore the same clothes I'd had for 10 years. But the worst part was at the bottom of the folder, a printed document. An email between Victoria and someone named Derek Hammond, attorney at law. Dear Victoria, regarding your consultation on the process of mental incapacity for seniors, I confirm we need 2 witnesses to testify to erratic behavior or memory loss. Psychiatric evaluation. I can recommend professionals who understand the situation. Documentation showing the subject cannot manage her finances. The process takes 3 to 6 months. Once declared incompetent, you and your husband, as direct relatives, can petition for guardianship. With guardianship, you have total control over her assets, including the sale of properties. My fee is $8,500, payable in 2 installments. I await your instructions. Derek Hammond. Date. September 15th, 2 months ago. Her reply was dated a week later. Derek, perfect. I already have the witnesses. My neighbor Patricia and my sister-in-law Lindsay both have noticed Eleanor's decline. When can we start? Time is of the essence. I need liquidity urgently. Victoria. I photographed everything. Every page, every email, every statement. My hands weren't shaking anymore. I was beyond fear. I was in a place of absolute clarity, cold and sharp as ice. There were 2 witnesses. Patricia, my neighbor from 3 houses down, with whom I had shared coffee hundreds of times. Lindsay, Daniel's sister, whom I had helped raise when she was a girl, whom I had helped when she got divorced. Both willing to lie. To say I was losing my mind, for money, for loyalty to Victoria, for reasons I would probably never understand. Kept searching. In the bottom drawer I found something that broke my heart. A manila envelope inside. Brochures for nursing homes. 3 different ones with information filled out by hand. My name, my age, suggested diagnosis. Incipient senile dementia. Requires constant supervision. One of the brochures was marked up with a highlighter. Serenity Meadows. Residents' comprehensive care for seniors starting at $6,000 a month. There was a sticky note attached. This one, far from the neighborhood. No visits without family authorization. The handwriting was Victoria's. I sat in the desk chair, surrounded by evidence of my own planned destruction. I didn't cry. I had no tears left for this. Victoria didn't just want my house. She wanted to erase me. Put me in a faraway home where no one could see me. Where I couldn't defend myself or tell the truth. And then sell everything. pay her debts, start over with my money. In my house with my life buried in some $6,000 a month facility. I heard a car pull into the driveway. Voices. Victoria was back. Put everything away quickly. Closed the drawers. I walked out of the study just as the front door opened. Eleanor, where are you? Victoria's voice sounded cheerful. Here in the kitchen. My voice came out surprisingly calm. She walked in, carrying Emma in her arms. My granddaughter's face was painted like a butterfly with pink glitter on her cheeks. Look, Grandma, I'm a butterfly. You're beautiful, sweetie. Victoria sat her down. Go wash your face, Emma. Be careful on the stairs. When the girl went up, Victoria approached me. Her smile was perfect. So, when are we going to see my aunt, the jeweler? Wednesday is good. Perfect. The sooner the better. I've already hired the architect to come do the remodeling budget. He's coming on Friday. She was moving so fast, so sure of her victory. One more question, Eleanor. She sat at the kitchen table, crossing her legs. Have you updated your will? At your age, it's important to have everything in order. There it was. The real question. I haven't thought about it. You should, for Emma, for Daniel. So there are no problems later. Later, when I was gone or when I was locked away in a home, declared incompetent. I'll think about it. I can recommend a notary, a friend of Derek's, my lawyer. He does excellent work. Derek, the same lawyer from the emails. The one who charged $8,500 to legally erase me. Thank you, Victoria. You're very kind. That's what we're here for. We're family. Family. That word she had used as a shield, as an excuse, as a prison for 12 years. That night after dinner, I feigned a headache and went to my room early. I locked the door. I sat on the bed with my phone. I sent all the photos to Dorothy and Marcus. Every document, every email, every statement. Marcus's response came in 20 minutes. Mrs. Eleanor, this is enough to press criminal charges. Forgery, attempted fraud, conspiracy to commit theft. We are talking 2 to 12 years in prison. I need to see you first thing tomorrow. We're going to stop this before it's too late. Dorothy called me. Her voice sounded strange, tense. Eleanor, are you okay? Are you sure you want to do this? Do what, Dorothy? Press charges. She's your granddaughter's mother. She's your son's wife. This is going to blow up your family. I looked around my tiny room. The smell of detergent, the narrow bed, the skylight where the sun came in every morning to wake me up far too early. My family already blew up, Dorothy. I've just been in denial for 12 years. Silence on the other end. All right then. We're going to do this, right? We are going to protect you. And we're going to make sure she can never do this to anyone else. I hung up and lay down. For the first time in months, I slept soundly because I knew the war had begun. And this time, I wasn't going to be the victim. Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning, I was at Marcus's office. This time I didn't climb the stairs with fear. Climbed them with purpose. Dorothy was already there, sitting across from her nephew's desk. She hugged me when I came in. You brought everything. I put my phone on the desk. It's all here. Photos, documents, emails, everything. Marcus connected my phone to his computer and started reviewing the images. His face grew more serious with each photo. This is bad, Mrs. Eleanor. Very bad. How bad? Forgery of official documents is a felony. 2 to 8 years in prison. Attempted theft, 6 months to 3 years. Fraud, 3 months to 12 years depending on the amount. And if we add the fraudulent attempt to declare incapacity. He took off his glasses and looked at me directly. We are talking about a sentence that could be as high as 12 years. Victoria Chen committed several serious crimes. 12 years. Emma would be 24 when her mother got out. My granddaughter, I whispered. I know. Marcus closed his laptop. That's why we need to do this correctly. It's not just about punishment. It's about protecting you and deep down protecting that little girl too. How? We're going to build a solid case. We're going to gather more evidence and we're going to make sure that when this blows up, you are completely protected legally and physically. Dorothy took my hand. Marcus found more. The lawyer opened a new folder on his desk. I made some calls. Contacts in the financial sector. Victoria doesn't just owe $180,000. She has more debts that don't appear on her official credit report. More private loans, money she borrowed from friends, family. I found at least 4 people she borrowed from and never paid back. Sums ranging from $2,000 to $10,000. He did the math on his calculator. We are talking about a real debt that exceeds $250,000. I was speechless. $250,000, and she wanted to solve it with my house, my necklace, my life. There's more, Marcus continued. I investigated the witnesses she mentioned in the email. Patricia and Lindsay. Lindsay, Daniel's sister, my own sister-in-law. What did you find? Patricia received a payment from Victoria 3 weeks ago. $3,000 bank transfer labeled loan, but there's no loan documentation. She paid her to lie about you, it appears. As for Lindsay, Marcus hesitated. She has 2 credit cards that Victoria co-signed for. If Lindsay doesn't pay, Victoria is responsible. It's a form of mutual blackmail. Victoria has leverage over her. My own sister-in-law, the girl I helped raise when her mother, my mother-in-law, got sick. The young woman who cried in my arms when she got divorced. And Daniel, I asked, my voice broken. Does my son know all this? Marcus exchanged a look with Dorothy. That's the question we need to answer. Is he an accomplice or is he another victim? How do we find out? By watching him, documenting, seeing if he signs any documents, if he participates in the conversations about the sale. For now, we don't know. That uncertainty was killing me inside. I needed to know if my son, the boy I had carried, raised, and loved for 42 years, was participating in my destruction. What do we do now? Yes. First, we protect you. Marcus pulled out several documents. I need you to sign this. It's a notarized affidavit stating you are of sound mind. We are also going to get a full psychological evaluation from a certified physician. Why? To have irrefutable proof that you are well. When Victoria tries to declare you incompetent, we will have dated evidence proving the contrary. And my bank accounts. I already checked. You have $63,000 in the bank. It's not much, but it's yours. I suggest you transfer it to a new account at a different bank in your name only. No beneficiaries. What if Victoria notices? Let her notice. She can't access that money anymore. I also suggest you get the opal necklace out of the house. Store it somewhere safe. Dorothy chimed in. You can leave it at my house, Eleanor. In my safe. He nodded. Everything was happening so fast. Second, Marcus continued. We document everything. Every conversation with Victoria, every demand, every threat. Your phone has a voice recorder. Use it. In this state, recordings are admissible as evidence if one party in the conversation is aware it's being recorded. You want me to record my daughter-in-law? I want you to protect yourself, Mrs. Eleanor. Victoria is planning to destroy you. You have the right to defend yourself. He was right. But recording conversations, collecting evidence. I felt like a spy in my own home. And then when do we press charges? When we have enough evidence of a completed attempt. Right now, we only have forged documents that haven't been officially used. We need her to take the next step, to try to use those documents to move forward with the incompetency proceeding. That's when we act. Let her move forward just a little more. Enough for the crime to be completed and the case to be solid. But I will be monitoring everything. At the first sign of real danger, we act. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. There's one more thing, Marcus said. I need you to think about what you want to happen afterward. Afterward? When all this comes to light, when Victoria is arrested, what do you want to happen with your son, with your house, with Emma? I hadn't thought that far ahead. I had been so focused on surviving that I hadn't planned for after. I need time to think. Take it, but think carefully because the decisions you make now will define the rest of your life. I left that office with a folder full of documents to sign, a list of things to do, and a weight in my chest I couldn't tell if was fear or hope. Dorothy took me to her house. We got the opal necklace that same afternoon. I went back to my house, entered the storage room, and moved the loose floorboard where I had hidden the box for years. The necklace was still there, wrapped in black velvet. The opals glowed with that internal light that changed color with the angle. Blues, greens, oranges like tiny galaxies trapped in stone. "Forgive me, Mom," I whispered. "But I need to do this." I put it in my purse and walked out as if nothing had happened. Victoria was in the living room watching TV. "You went out, Eleanor." "For a walk. I needed some air." "Oh well, tomorrow I'll go with you to my aunt's, the jeweler. Is 11 o'clock okay?" "Perfect." She smiled. Two women playing chess, each believing she knew the next move. That night in my room, I set up the voice recorder on my phone. I tested it several times until I understood how it worked. And then I called my quilting group, the 6 ladies who had known me for decades. "I need to ask you a favor," I told them. "A big favor." "Whatever you need, Eleanor," replied Ruby. I told them everything. Not the legal details but the gist. Victoria was using me. She wanted to take my house. She had forged documents and I needed help. "I need witnesses," I said. "People who can testify that I'm fine, that I don't have memory problems, that I'm not crazy." "Of course we'll testify," said Miriam, the oldest of the group, 73 and sharp-tongued. "That woman is a snake. I always knew it." "Count on me," said Florence. And Iris and Judith and Pauline, all of them my friends, my tribe. "I also need you to be alert," I continued. "If something happens to me, if I disappear, if they take me somewhere, I need you to find Dorothy, to call Marcus." "Nothing is going to happen," Dorothy said firmly. "Because now you're protected. You're not alone anymore." I hung up with tears in my eyes. But this time they were different tears, not of pain but of gratitude. 'Cause Dorothy was right. For the first time in 12 years I wasn't alone. I had a lawyer. I had evidence. I had witnesses. I had friends willing to fight with me. And Victoria, with all her perfect plans and forged documents, had no idea what was coming for her. I went to bed that night thinking of my mother, of how she had taught me to quilt when I was a girl, stitch by stitch with patience, building something beautiful from nothing. "Life is like a quilt, honey," she used to say. "Sometimes you have to rip out all the seams and start over. But if you're patient and don't give up, in the end, something beautiful comes out." I had let my life be unraveled for 12 years, stitch by stitch, letting Victoria weave her web around me. But now I was quilting something new. And this time the design was mine. Tuesday dawned gray, low clouds that threatened rain, but never delivered. Victoria came into the kitchen radiant, wearing a wine-colored dress that surely cost more than I spent on groceries in 2 months. "Ready to see my aunt?" I touched my purse. "Me." The necklace was safe at Dorothy's house. "Ready." "Perfect. You'll love her. Her shop is in an upscale mall on the Magnificent Mile. She sells antiques, collector's items. She'll know the real value of your necklace." Her necklace. She had already claimed it in her mind. We got into Victoria's car, a gray BMW she still had to finish paying for. The air conditioning smelled of her expensive perfume. I put my hand on my purse, feeling my phone inside. The recorder was on. "Eleanor, there's something I want to tell you." Her voice sounded sweet, almost affectionate. "I know these last few years haven't been easy for either of us, but I want you to know that I appreciate you, that I value everything you've done for us." I kept my eyes on the window. "Thank you, Victoria. That's why I want you to understand that the remodel is important. It's not just for us. It's for you too. Imagine having a new, safer bathroom with grab bars, a shower with a non-slip floor. It would be perfect for your age." Grab bars. As if I were an invalid. Sounds nice. "And I've also been thinking," she paused as if choosing her words carefully. "Daniel and I have talked. We think it would be good for you to have your own space. A smaller, more manageable little house. Something where you don't have to worry about stairs, about maintenance. There it was. The real plan. Sell my house and send me to a smaller, more manageable place. Probably that $6,000 a month nursing home. A small house or a condo in a secure building with people your age. You could make new friends, have activities. It would be liberating. Liberating. What a curious word to describe what she really wanted. To get rid of me. And you too would stay in the house? Well, it's logical, isn't it? We're younger. Emma is growing. You need space. And you would be more comfortable in something more appropriate for your stage of life. My stage of life. As if at 68, I already had one foot in the grave. It sounds like you have it all planned out. She laughed. A light, joyless laugh. It's not a plan, Eleanor. It's just an idea so we can all be better off. But first we need the money from the necklace. To get started, we arrived at the mall. Underground parking, luxury stores, well-dressed people walking with bags from brands I could never afford. The jewelry store was called Antique Treasures. An elegant window display with antique pieces on black velvet. A woman of about 50 greeted us. She looked like Victoria. Same perfect smile, same calculating eyes. Victoria, how wonderful. They kissed on the cheek. Is this your mother-in-law? Eleanor, this is my Aunt Veronica. A pleasure, ma'am. She extended her hand, cold with rings on every finger. Likewise. Victoria mentioned you have an opal necklace. Opals are very special stones, highly valued by collectors. Yes, it's an antique. Did you bring it? I touched my empty purse. I couldn't find it. The silence that followed was as taut as a wire about to snap. What do you mean you couldn't find it? Victoria's voice went up an octave. I looked in my room. Freeware. It's not there. Eleanor, you kept it under the loose floorboard. It's always been there. Interesting. She knew exactly where I kept it. How many times had she gone snooping in my room when I wasn't there? Well, it's not there anymore. This is ridiculous. Victoria turned to her aunt. Excuse us. My mother-in-law has been forgetful lately. There it was. The word. Forgetful. Planting the seed in front of a witness. I'm not forgetful, Victoria. I just can't find the necklace. Because you don't remember where you put it. She turned to me with that exaggerated patience one uses with children. Eleanor, think. When was the last time you saw it? Last week. It was in its spot, and now it's not. No. Victoria pressed her lips together. I could see the calculation behind her eyes. What to do now? How to control this? Let's go home, she said finally. We'll look for it together. In the car the silence was heavy. Victoria drove with a clenched jaw, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. Eleanor, did you tell anyone about the necklace? No. Are you sure? You didn't mention it to your friends from the quilting group. Why would I do that? I don't know. Maybe you took it out to show them and forgot it at one of their houses. Trying to make me seem careless, senile. I didn't do that. Or maybe. She glanced at me for a second before turning back to the road. Maybe someone broke into the house. A robbery. Nothing else is missing. Just the necklace. How convenient, right? Just when we need it. Her tone had changed. It wasn't sweet anymore. It was accusatory. What are you implying, Victoria? Nothing, Eleanor. I just find it strange that the necklace suddenly disappeared. We got home. Daniel was in the living room with his laptop. He looked up when we walked in. How'd it go? Your mother lost the necklace, Victoria spat. What do you mean she lost it? I didn't lose it. It's not where I always kept it. Victoria gently pushed me toward the stairs. Let's go to your room. We're going to find it. We went up. Victoria practically ripped the loose floorboard up. The empty box was still there, its black velvet lining intact. See, here's the box. Empty. She looked at me with those eyes that had faked sweetness for so long. Where is the necklace, Eleanor? I don't know. Of course you know. Her voice rose, losing control. Did you sell it behind my back? Did you keep the money? Daniel appeared in the doorway. Victoria, calm down. I will not calm down. That necklace was worth $90,000. We needed it. You needed it. I said quietly. What did you say? I said you needed it to pay your debts. The silence was absolute. Victoria looked at me as if I had grown a second head. My debts. I don't have any debts. $850,000 on credit cards, personal loans, pawn shops. I used the higher number I'd seen in the file. Daniel took a step forward. Mom, what are you talking about? About the truth. About why Victoria needs so much money. About why she wants to sell my house. Victoria laughed. A hysterical, humorless laugh. Now, it turns out your mother is a detective. What else did you make up, Eleanor? That I'm robbing you. That I want to send you to a nursing home. I didn't answer. I just looked at her, and in that silence something happened in her face. A fraction of a second where fear replaced the rage. She knew that I knew. Daniel, I said without taking my eyes off Victoria. Ask your wife how much she owes. Ask her why she gets calls from collectors. Ask her about the bank statements she keeps in her office. You're delirious, Victoria said. But her voice was trembling. Is it true? Daniel looked at his wife. Do you have debts? Everyone has debts. 1 or 2 cards. It's not a big deal. How much? Daniel. How much? Victoria closed her eyes. When she opened them there were tears. Real tears this time, of fear. Of cornered rage. 200,000. Maybe 300. It's manageable. She was lying. Even now, backed into a corner, she was still lying. Are there documents? Said. In your office. Statements that add up to a lot more than 300,000. You had no right to snoop in my office. You had no right to forge my signature. That stopped her cold. Daniel looked back and forth between us as if we were strangers. Is someone going to explain what is happening? Your wife forged documents for the house. Property transfer documents with my signature. She's planning to sell my house to pay her debts. That's a lie. You're making things up because you're not well, Eleanor. There it was again. The insinuation of dementia. I am perfectly well. Oh, really? Victoria's voice was dripping with sarcasm. The woman who lost a $90,000 necklace is perfectly well. The woman who accuses her family of robbing her is perfectly well. She turned to Daniel. You see what I'm telling you? Your mother needs help. Professional help. I don't need help. I need to be left alone. Alone. Victoria laughed again. You know what, Eleanor? Maybe you're right. Maybe you should leave. Get your own apartment. Live alone. Because clearly we're not a family anymore. We were never a family. I was your servant for 12 years. We gave you a roof over your head. It was my house. My scream echoed in the small room. Daniel took a step back. Victoria was paralyzed. This house is mine, I continued, my voice shaking but firm. Robert left it to me. Not to you, not to Daniel, to me. And for 12 years I let you convince me I was a guest, that I should be grateful, that I was worthless. Mom, no. Daniel, let me finish. You took my bedroom. You put me in a storage room. You treated me like an employee. And when I finally said no, when I finally set a boundary, you screamed at me in front of 30 people that I was worthless. Tears were streaming down my face now. Tears from 12 years of humiliation, of buried pain, of trampled dignity. So no, I'm not selling my necklace. I'm not remodeling my house for you to be comfortable. And I am definitely not letting you declare me incompetent to steal the only thing I have left. Victoria turned pale. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about the lawyer, Derek Hammond. I'm talking about the $8,500 it costs to declare someone incompetent. I'm talking about Patricia and Lindsay, your paid-off witnesses. You're insane. No, but you wanted me to be, didn't you? I walked out of the room. I went down the stairs, my legs shaking. I grabbed my purse, my sweater. Where are you going? Daniel followed me down. Somewhere I'm not treated like trash. Mom, wait. We can talk about this. I stopped at the door. I turned to look at my son. My only son. The boy I had carried in my womb that I had raised with all my love. When she screamed at me at Emma's birthday, you said nothing. That was your answer, Daniel. Your silence. I didn't know what to do. You knew what to do. Defend your mother. But you chose not to. I walked out and closed the door behind me. I walked the 3 blocks to Dorothy's house. I rang the bell. When she opened the door and saw my face, she hugged me without asking a single question. It's over, she whispered. It's over, Eleanor. The worst is over. But she was wrong. The worst was just beginning. I stayed at Dorothy's house that night and the next and the next. This time it wasn't an escape, it was strategy. Marcus called me on the 3rd day. Mrs. Eleanor, we need to act fast. Victoria has accelerated the process. She filed a petition for a psychiatric evaluation with a family court judge. She claims you are exhibiting erratic behavior, that you've lost valuable items, and that you're making baseless accusations. Can she do that? She already did. You have a court order for an evaluation within 5 days. If you don't show up, the judge can interpret that as evidence of your incapacity. And if I do show up, the psychiatrist Victoria chose is, let's just say, he has a reputation for being agreeable to whoever pays him. But I have a better plan. What is it? We get ahead of it. We file our own lawsuit first with all the evidence we have. We put all our cards on the table before she has a chance to manipulate the process. When? Tomorrow. I'm filing the criminal complaint for forgery and attempted theft, and you are going to return to your house with full legal protection. I barely slept that night. I knew that the next day everything would explode. There was no turning back. Saturday dawned with a perfect blue sky. Ironic considering the storm that was about to break. At 9 in the morning, Victoria organized a gathering. No, it was earlier. She called the whole family. Her mother, her 2 sisters, Lindsay, Daniel's sister, even some close neighbors. 12 people in total. Dorothy called me at 10 o'clock. Eleanor, my neighbor just told me. There are a lot of people going into your house. What's happening? Victoria is making her final move. What are you doing here? You should be at your house. I'm on my way. It's time. I got dressed in my best clothes. A pair of beige slacks and a blouse I had bought years ago when Robert was still alive. Combed my hair carefully. Put on a little makeup. I needed to look dignified, competent, sane. Marcus picked me up at 11 o'clock. He was carrying a briefcase full of documents. Ready. Ready. We arrived at my house at noon. There were several cars parked out front. I heard voices, laughter from inside. Remember, Marcus said. Stay calm. Doesn't matter what they say. You have the truth and the law on your side. I opened the door with my own keys. The living room was full. Victoria had set up a table with appetizers, wine, sodas. White and gold balloons hung from the ceiling as if it were a celebration. The conversation stopped when I walked in. Everyone stared at me. Eleanor. Victoria walked over smiling. So glad you came. We wanted to talk to you. Talk about what? About your future. About how we can help you. I looked around. I recognized everyone. Victoria's mother, Sharon, sitting in my armchair with a glass of wine. Victoria's sisters, Amber and Crystal, one on each side. Lindsay, my sister-in-law, avoiding my gaze. Patricia, my neighbor, the one Victoria had paid $3,000 for her false testimony. And Daniel, standing by the window, his arms crossed. Sit down, Mom. Daniel pointed to a chair in the middle of the living room as if I were before a tribunal. I'd rather stand. Eleanor. Victoria began with that sweet voice that no longer fooled me. Everyone here loves you. We appreciate you. That's why we're worried. Worried. About your health, your well-being. He paused dramatically. Lately you've been different. Different how? Forgetful, Sharon chimed in. Victoria tells me you lost a very valuable necklace. I didn't lose it. You've also been making accusations, continued Amber, Victoria's older sister, saying Victoria wants to rob you. That's not normal, Eleanor. They're not accusations. They're facts. See? Victoria looked at the others with a worried expression. She keeps insisting the family is out to get her. It's part of her condition. I don't have a condition. Patricia cleared her throat. Eleanor, I've seen you these past few weeks. You seem confused. The other day you asked me if it was Tuesday when it was Thursday. Lie. We had never had that conversation. That's false. And I've noticed you repeat the same stories, Lindsay added, her voice trembling. As if you don't remember you've already told them. Another lie. My own sister-in-law lying out of fear or complicity. Eleanor. Victoria took my hand. Pulled it away. We want what's best for you. That's why we've decided, all of us together, that you need professional help. Professional help. A place where they can take care of you. Where you'll have nurses, doctors, activities appropriate for your age. A nursing home. A specialized care residence, Sharon corrected. My cousin is in one. It's beautiful. Gardens, painting classes. They even have Sunday service. I am not going to any nursing home. Mom, be reasonable. Daniel approached. You can't live alone anymore. It's not safe. This is my house. It was your house. Victoria dropped the words like stones. But now we need to think about what's practical. Daniel and I are going to stay here. Emma needs stability. And you'll be better cared for in a professional facility. Did you sign the papers? Asked Daniel. Did you already transfer the house to your name? Mom. Answer me. Did you sign property transfer documents? His silence was answer enough. I see. I felt something break inside me, the last thread connecting me to my son. So, you are an accomplice. I'm not an accomplice to anything. I'm taking care of you. Taking care of me. I laughed, a dry, humorless laugh. Is that what you call putting me in a home while you steal my house? It's for your own good. It's for $850,000 of your wife's debt. The silence that followed was deafening. Victoria went pale. The sisters exchanged glances. I don't know what you're talking about, Victoria said, her voice tight. I'm talking about your credit cards, your loans, your desperate need for money. I turned to the guests. Victoria owes more than $1 million. She needs to sell this house to pay it off. But the house is mine, so her plan is to declare me incompetent to take control. That's ridiculous, Victoria spat. Is it? I took out my phone. Because I have photos of the documents, bank statements, emails with the lawyer, Derek Hammond, everything. I passed the phone around. The photos circulated. I watched as faces changed. Surprise, shock, discomfort. Sharon looked at her daughter. Victoria, is this true? There. Things taken out of context. Is $1 million $200,000 context? Asked Crystal, her younger sister. And there's more, I continued. I looked at Patricia. Do you want to tell them about the $3,000 Victoria paid you, or should I? Patricia turned bright red. She loaned me that money for my son's car. A loan. With what money? She's drowning in debt. Eleanor, that's enough. Daniel took a step toward me. You're making a scene. A scene. Your wife is trying to steal my house. She forged my signature. She hired a lawyer to declare me incompetent. And you are helping her. I'm trying to keep my family together. At the cost of your mother. At the cost of whatever it takes. There it was. The truth. Raw, painful, definitive. My son had chosen and he hadn't chosen me. Victoria stood up, her hands shaking. You all know she's lying. She's sick, Eleanor. You're seeing conspiracies where there are none. That's why you need help. Then explain the property transfer documents with my forged signature. Explain the email with the real estate agency. Explain the nursing home brochures with my name on them. Enough! Victoria screamed. Her composure finally shattered. You're ruining everything. Everything we built. What you built on my back. We gave you a roof over your head when you were alone. We gave you a family. You took my home, my dignity, and my life. Victoria looked at me with pure, undisguised hatred. You know what, Eleanor? Get out. Go wherever you want, but without the necklace, without any money, without anything. Because all of this, she gestured around the room. All of this is ours now. No, said a new voice from the door. None of this is yours. We all turned. Marcus had entered, accompanied by 2 police officers. I am Marcus Rivera, attorney for Mrs. Eleanor Walsh. I have a search warrant and an order to bring you in for questioning. He handed some papers to Daniel. My son read them, his face growing paler. What is this? A criminal complaint for forgery of documents, attempted dispossession, and fraud against Victoria Chen. Victoria backed away. That's... You can't. I also have a search warrant for Mrs. Chen's office. We need to seize certain documents as evidence. The officers moved toward the stairs. Victoria tried to block their path. You can't go in there. That's my private office. We have a court order, ma'am. Please step aside. For the next 20 minutes, the officers brought down boxes of documents, the green folder, the red folder, the bank statements, the printed emails, the nursing home brochures, everything. The guests watched in shock. Sharon was crying silently. Victoria's sisters had moved away as if her shame were contagious. Victoria Chen, one of the officers said, you need to come with us to make a statement. Are you arresting me? At the moment we just need your statement. But depending on what we find in these documents, formal charges could be filed. Daniel. Victoria turned to her husband, her eyes full of real tears for the first time. Daniel, don't let them take me. My son was staring at the floor. He said nothing. Daniel. Go with them, Victoria. Fix this. Fix it. Your mother is destroying me. Defend me. But Daniel just shook his head, his gaze empty. Victoria looked at me then. There was no sweetness, no manipulation, just pure hatred. This isn't over. I won't let you win. You've already won plenty for 12 years. The officers took her away. I heard her heels clicking on the floor, then the front door closing. The guests began to leave one by one, murmuring awkward apologies, avoiding my gaze. Patricia walked past me without a word. Lindsay stopped for a moment. Eleanor, I don't want to hear it. She left too. When everyone was gone, only Daniel, Marcus, and I remained. I also brought this. Marcus pulled out another document. A civil suit for unpaid domestic labor. 12 years of cooking, cleaning, and child care. We've calculated a fair wage totaling $150,000. Daniel looked up incredulous. You're suing me. I'm claiming what you owe me. You're my mother. And you're my son. The son who let his wife treat me like dirt for 12 years. I didn't know. You knew. Maybe not the details, but you knew something was wrong. And you chose not to see. Daniel sank into the armchair, his head in his hands. What do you want me to do? I want you to get out of my house. He snapped his head up. What? This is my house. Robert left it to me. I never signed any transfer. You are living here out of my goodwill. And that goodwill has run out. Mom, you can't just kick us out. Where will I go with Emma? You should have thought of that before. Please. Give me a chance. Can fix this. I can. You can what, Daniel? Give me back the last 12 years. Erase all the times you stayed silent while your wife humiliated me. He didn't answer because there was no answer. You have 2 weeks to find another place and move out. After that, I'm changing the locks. Mom. 2 weeks. I walked out of my own living room. I went up to my storage room for the last time, grabbed my few belongings, and came down with my small suitcase. "Where are you going?" Daniel asked. "To Dorothy's house. Until you're gone. Then I'm coming back to my home." Marcus walked me to the door. I turned back one last time. Daniel was still sitting there, surrounded by the white and gold balloons of a celebration that never was, in the middle of a living room that no longer belonged to him. "Goodbye, Daniel." He didn't answer. I walked out with my head held high, my suitcase in one hand, and my dignity finally intact because I had learned something crucial in those days. Sometimes getting your life back means losing the people you thought were your family. And it hurts. It hurts like nothing else in the world. But it's the price of freedom. The following days were a whirlwind of legal proceedings, statements, and discoveries I hadn't even anticipated. Marcus called me on Tuesday morning. His voice was tense but excited. "Mrs. Eleanor, I need you to come to my office now. We found something important." I arrived in half an hour. His desk was covered in scattered documents, colored markers, sticky notes everywhere. When the officers searched Victoria's office, they found more than we expected. He opened a blue folder I hadn't seen before. Much more. What did they find? Victoria didn't just forge transfer documents for your house. She also had a second completely fake set of deeds. With them, she already sold the house. I felt the floor lurch. What? 3 weeks ago, using the fake deeds, she sold your house to a shell corporation for $2,800,000. Way below market value. The company is owned by a Brandon Cole. Does that name ring a bell? I shook my head. He's Victoria's cousin. They planned for you to sign a power of attorney supposedly for maintenance paperwork. With that power, they were going to legalize the sale retroactively. You wouldn't have even known until it was too late. And the money. Victoria received an advance of $800,000. She used it to pay off the most urgent credit cards and the most aggressive collectors. The rest was supposed to come after it was all finalized. I sat down dizzy. But that means, if we hadn't acted when we did, you would have lost your house for real. They would have had you declared incompetent, signed the papers for you, and by the time you realized it, there would be no going back. The horror of how close I had come to the edge left me speechless. There's more. Marcus pulled out other papers. I looked into Daniel, your son, his finances. I wanted to know if he was an active or passive accomplice. He paused. "Mrs. Eleanor, your son knew nothing about Victoria's debts. She kept it all a secret. But 2 months ago, he signed a document." "What document?" "A personal loan for $30,000 in his name. But Victoria was the one who arranged it. She made him believe it was for home improvements. That money never went to any improvements. It went straight to paying interest on her cards." "Daniel, my son had been tricked too. So he didn't know. Not the full extent. He knew something was wrong. The arguments with Victoria, the strange calls, the stress, but she kept him in the dark. She manipulated him just as much as she manipulated you, just in a different way. I didn't know whether to feel relief or more pain. My son wasn't the villain I had imagined. He was just another puppet in Victoria's show. What happens now? Victoria is facing serious charges. Forgery of official documents, aggravated fraud, attempted theft. We're talking a sentence of 5 to 10 years, and that's if she has a good lawyer. And Brandon Cole, the cousin, he's facing charges as an accomplice. The shell company is being investigated. All the money will be frozen and returned. In years. Emma would be 22 when her mother got out. And my granddaughter. Marcus looked at me with understanding. That's a question only you can answer, Mrs. Eleanor. 2 days later on Thursday, Victoria was formally arrested. Bail was set at $50,000. Her parents paid it, selling Sharon's car and borrowing from the whole family. Victoria got out of jail looking gaunt with no makeup, her clothes wrinkled. There was nothing left of the perfectly put-together woman I knew. On Friday, Daniel showed up at Dorothy's house. He had Emma by the hand. My granddaughter ran to me. "Grandma!" I hugged her, feeling her little arms around my neck, her smell of apple shampoo. "Hi, my love. Why haven't you come home? I miss you." "I miss you too." Daniel waited until Dorothy took Emma to the kitchen for cookies. "Mom, I need to talk to you." "Go ahead." He sat across from me, his hands clasped between his knees. He looked 10 years older. Marcus showed me everything. The documents, the debts, the thing with her cousin, everything. And I didn't know, Mom. Swear. Victoria hid it all from me. But you knew something was wrong. He nodded, his eyes wet. I knew there was tension. I knew we were spending more than we had. But every time I asked, she said it was all under control, that they were investments for the future. For Emma. He wiped his eyes. I was an idiot. You were my son who didn't defend me when I needed it most. I know. And I'll live with that for the rest of my life. He looked at me directly. But I need you to know something. I'm divorcing Victoria. I hadn't expected that. Why? Because what she did is unforgivable. She tried to destroy you. She used Emma and me as an excuse for her lies. And she almost succeeded. His voice broke. I almost lost my mother because I was defending her because I was too much of a coward to see the truth. And Emma, it's going to be hard for her. But she can't grow up thinking what her mother did is okay. She can't learn that manipulation and deceit are normal. He was right. But the pain in his eyes broke my heart. Where will you live? I rented a small apartment, 2 bedrooms, near Emma's school. He paused. Mom, I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but what? Can Emma and I visit you? Not to live with you, just to not lose you completely. I looked through the window to the kitchen where Emma was laughing with Dorothy over cookies. Yes, I said finally. You can visit. Thank you, Mom. But are there conditions? Whatever they are. You're going to pay the civil suit, the $150,000. Not all at once. I can wait, but you will pay me. Okay. And you will never ever again stay silent when someone disrespects me. Not your wife, not your boss, not anyone. Never again. I promise. He got up to leave but stopped at the door. Mom, one more thing. The house, it's yours obviously. But what are you going to do with it? It's so big for just one person. Smiled. I had been thinking about that for days. I have a plan. The following Monday, Victoria showed up at Dorothy's house. She rang the doorbell at 6 o'clock in the evening. Dorothy looked at me, asking with her eyes if I wanted to see her. I nodded. Victoria walked into the dining room like a ghost of herself. She wasn't wearing designer clothes, just jeans and a simple blouse. No makeup. Her hair was cut short. Eleanor. Victoria. She sat down without being invited. She put her hands on the table and I saw they were shaking. I came to ask you to drop the charges. No, please. If I go to prison, Emma loses her mother. You should have thought of that before you tried to steal my house. I was desperate. The debts, the collectors, they were calling me 10 times a day, threatening me. One came to my job, humiliated me in front of everyone. I just needed to get out of it. At the cost of destroying me. I never wanted to destroy you. Her eyes filled with tears. I just wanted the money. I was going to let you live in the home. I was going to visit you. I wasn't going to completely abandon you. I looked at her. This woman who had tortured me with small cruelties for 12 years, who had taken my bedroom, my dignity, my peace. Do you know the difference between you and me, Victoria? What? When I had problems after Robert died, when I felt alone and lost, I didn't try to destroy anyone to save myself. You did. I made mistakes. They weren't mistakes. They were choices. Choice after choice to hurt me, to use me, to erase me. She covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. What do you want me to do? Grovel. Beg you. I don't want anything from you, Victoria. You can't give me anything I need anymore. Then why? Why go through with the lawsuit for revenge? No. I stood up. For justice. There's a difference. And Emma, she's not to blame. Exactly. She's not to blame. That's why she is going to learn starting now that actions have consequences. That you can't lie and steal and manipulate without paying the price. She's just a girl who deserves a mother who teaches her real values, not how to destroy people to get what she wants. Victoria stood up. She wasn't crying anymore. She just looked at me with a mixture of rage and defeat. You're going to destroy my family. Your family was already destroyed. I just turned on the light so everyone could see it. She left without another word. I heard her footsteps fade, the door closed. Dorothy came into the dining room. Are you okay? Yes. For the first time in a long time I'm okay. 2 weeks later, exactly as promised, Daniel and Emma moved out. Help them pack. Emma cried as she packed her toys. Why can't we stay, Grandma? Because sometimes things need to change, sweetie. But that doesn't mean we won't see each other. Promise. I promise. The day I finally returned to my house, the sun was streaming through every window. I walked through it slowly, room by room. Victoria's office was empty. The closets in the master bedroom were empty. Everything was clean, tidy, and silent. It was my house again. I went up to the master bedroom, the one that had been mine and Robert's, the one they had taken from me 8 years ago. I sat on the floor in the spot where our bed used to be. Closed my eyes. I did it, Robert, I whispered. I got our house back. I got my life back. And for the first time since his death, I felt like I had truly begun to heal. 3 months later, on a Tuesday in February, I sat in family court, courtroom 12. The room smelled of old paper and burnt coffee. Victoria sat on the other side next to her public defender. There was no money left for expensive lawyers. The judge read the sentence in a monotone voice. In the case of aggravated fraud, forgery of official documents, and attempted dispossession, the defendant, Victoria Chen, is sentenced to 6 years in prison, reducible with good behavior. The sentence was suspended pending probation under the following conditions. Victoria wasn't going to prison immediately. She would have probation, but with strict conditions. Community service, mandatory therapy, weekly check-ins with her probation officer, and an absolute restraining order against me and my property. If she violated any of it, she would go directly to prison. I looked at her. She didn't look back. She looked small, defeated, nothing like the imposing woman who had screamed at me in front of 30 people. Brandon Cole, her cousin, wasn't so lucky. He went to prison. 4 years for conspiracy to commit fraud. The Shell Corporation was dissolved, and the $800,000 Victoria had received was seized and returned. But by then that money had already evaporated in interest payments. I left the courthouse with Marcus by my side. How do you feel? He asked. I don't know. I thought I'd feel victorious. I just feel tired. That's normal. Justice doesn't always feel the way we think it will. He was right. For months I had imagined this moment. I thought I would feel triumph, satisfaction, sweet revenge. But I just felt relief and sadness for all that had been lost along the way. Daniel had kept his promise. He divorced Victoria 2 weeks after moving out. The divorce was fast, uncontested. Victoria had nothing to fight for. She had no house, no money, nothing but debt, and an uncertain future. Custody of Emma stayed with Daniel. Victoria got supervised visits every 2 weeks. My son also started paying me $500 a month. It wasn't much, but it was what he could afford after paying his rent, Emma's expenses, and part of the debts Victoria had left in his name. I'm going to pay you back everything, Mom, he had told me. Even if it takes me 20 years. I know, son. The visits started slowly. One afternoon every 2 weeks. Daniel and Emma would come for dinner. At first, it was awkward, full of heavy silences and shallow conversation, but slowly, week by week, the wounds began to heal. Emma asked me one afternoon while we were eating chili in the kitchen, "Grandma, why did Mom do those bad things?" Daniel tensed. I took my granddaughter's hand. Sometimes, sweetie, people make bad decisions when they're scared. Your mom was very scared. And she made decisions that hurt other people. But you're not scared. Of course I get scared. We all get scared sometimes. But that doesn't give us permission to hurt the people we love. Do you still love Mom? The question caught me off guard. I looked at Daniel, who was staring at his plate. I don't know if I still love her, but I don't wish her harm. I hope she learns from her mistakes and becomes a better person. Me too, Emma said with the seriousness of a child. Because even if she did bad things, she's still my mom. Yes, sweetie. She's still your mom and you have the right to love her. That will never be wrong. I hugged her and felt her tears on my blouse. But the story didn't end there because I had a plan for my house. A plan that had been growing ever since the day I got my keys back. One afternoon in March, I gathered my quilting group in the living room. The 6 ladies who had supported me, who had been my witnesses, my friends, my tribe. I have a proposal for you, I said. I pulled out some documents I had prepared with Marcus. This house is too big for me alone. 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a yard, a garage. It's a waste for just me to live here. Are you going to sell it? Ruby asked. No, I'm going to share it. But this time on my terms. I explained my plan. I wanted to turn 3 of the bedrooms into workshops. A space for quilting classes, 1 for painting, 1 for pottery. The large living room would be the common area, the garden, a space for meetings. I want to create a community center for women our age. A place where we can learn, create, and share without having to pay expensive rent or depend on city spaces that never have available hours. And how will you maintain it? Asked Miriam, ever practical. By charging accessible fees. $30 a month per person. Classes in quilting, painting, pottery, yoga, whatever the teachers want to teach. Each teacher keeps 70%. I use 30% to maintain the house. That's not much money, observed Florence. It's not about the money. It's about creating something, a space where women like us can feel valued, useful, and alive. Dorothy smiled. So, when do we start? Next week. If you'll all agree to be the first teachers. They agreed. All of them. I used the money from the opal necklace for the necessary renovations. $90,000 that my mother had saved for decades, waiting for the right moment. This was that moment. I hired a carpenter to build workbenches. I bought sewing machines, quilting hoops, fabrics, colorful threads. I painted the walls bright, cheerful colors. Sunflower yellow in the quilting workshop, sky blue in the painting studio, mint green in the pottery room. The master bedroom was still mine. The other 2 I left as guest rooms in case Emma ever wanted to stay over or if one of my friends needed a temporary refuge. The Eleanor Art Center opened on a Saturday in April. 30 women came on the first day. Some curious, some excited, all looking for the same thing, a place to be themselves. Mrs. Patel, 74, learned to sew her first stitches. Sylvia, a recent widow of 62, found a way to process her grief through painting. Claudia, divorced at 68, discovered she had a talent for pottery. And I found a purpose I didn't know I needed. It wasn't just about teaching. It was about creating a community, a space where women the world considered past their prime, invisible, worthless, could shine. Daniel came to visit one Sunday. He walked through the workshops with Emma, watching the women working, laughing, sharing stories. Mom, this is incredible, isn't it? It is. You turned all that pain into something beautiful. Shrugged. Your father always said the best flowers grow from the best fertilizer. And fertilizer isn't exactly pleasant. Emma was trying the pottery wheel, her hands covered in clay, laughing as it squished between her fingers. Can I come more often, Grandma, to learn? Of course, sweetie. This is your house too. And I meant it. It was her house. But this time under different rules. Rules of respect, of clear boundaries, of love without manipulation. One evening in May, 6 months after everything, I was watering the rose bushes in the garden. The same fuchsia flowers Robert used to care for, the ones that were blooming when he died. I heard the doorbell ring. It was Victoria. She looked different, thinner, no makeup, her hair shorter. She wore simple clothes, clean but modest. Eleanor. Victoria. I know I'm not supposed to be here, that I have a restraining order, but I needed to tell you something. You have 5 minutes. I'm in therapy. It's mandatory from the sentence, but it's helping. I'm understanding a lot of things about myself, about why I did what I did. I said nothing. I just waited. I grew up poor, Eleanor. Very poor. My dad left us when I was 8. I watched my mom work 3 jobs to keep us afloat. I saw how people looked at us with pity. I swore I would never live like that. That doesn't justify anything. I know. But it explains the terror I felt of going back to that place. When the debt started, when the collectors called, that terror came back. And instead of asking for help, instead of being honest, I decided someone else had to pay the price. Me. Yes. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I treated you the way I did. I'm sorry I took away your dignity. I'm sorry I tried to steal your house. Her voice broke. I'm sorry for all of it. I looked at her. This woman who had nearly destroyed me. This woman who was now broken in front of me. Are you expecting me to forgive you? No, I don't expect that. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, that I'm trying to be better for Emma, for myself. How is your relationship with Emma? Difficult. She asks me questions. Why I did what I did. Why Dad and I got divorced. I try to be honest, but it's hard having your 12-year-old daughter look at you with disappointment. It's called consequences. I know. She wiped her eyes. Well, I've said what I came to say. I'll go before you call the police. She turned to leave. Victoria. You stop. I don't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe never. But I hope you really do change for Emma. She deserves a better mother. I know, and I'm going to. Or at least I'm going to try. Left. I watched her walk down the street. A solitary figure in the afternoon sun. Dorothy appeared by my side. She had arrived for the quilting class. Was that Victoria? Yes. What did she want? To apologize. And nothing. An apology doesn't erase years of pain, but at least she recognizes what she did. Is it enough? No. But it's a start. We walked into the house together. The quilting workshop was already full of women. Their laughter filled the space that had once been so silent and sad. That night, after everyone had gone, I sat in my bedroom, the master bedroom, the one I had reclaimed. I took out an old photo of Robert and me, 30 years younger, smiling in front of this very house the day we bought it. I never imagined I'd have to fight so hard to keep it, I told his picture. But it was worth it. I put the photo away and opened my notebook. Ever since this all began, I had been writing. First as therapy, then as a record. I wrote the last entry. Today, 6 months after getting my life back, I understand something fundamental. Dignity isn't something other people can give you or take from you. Something you decide to keep. Even when the whole world tells you that you're worthless. For 12 years, I let them convince me I was a burden, that I should be grateful for the scraps they gave me, that my age made me invisible, disposable. But I was 68 years old when I decided that was enough. And if I could do it at 68, anyone can do it at any age. It's not easy. It hurts to lose the people you thought were your family. It hurts to discover that the people who said they loved you were willing to destroy you for money. But on the other side of that pain is something beautiful. Freedom. Today I have a house full of laughter. I have friends who are more family than blood. I have a purpose that makes me wake up every morning excited to live. And I have something I didn't have 6 months ago. Respect for myself. Because I learned that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. I learned that saying no doesn't make you a bad person. Makes you free. I learned that it is never ever too late to take your life back. I am 68 years old and my life is just beginning. Closed the notebook. I turned off the light and I slept deeply without the noise of the washing machine waking me, without the smell of detergent in my sheets, without the weight of humiliation crushing my chest. I slept in my own bed, in my own bedroom, in my own house. I slept like a free woman. The Eleanor Art Center had grown. It wasn't just 3 workshops anymore. We now had yoga, traditional cooking, and creative writing classes, even a book club. 120 women came through my house every week. Women from 50 to 85 years old, all looking for the same thing, a place to be themselves. Some came recently divorced, trying to rebuild their identities. Others came as widows, looking to fill the void. Others just came because they were tired of being invisible. And they all found the same thing here that I had found. Community, purpose, dignity. Emma was 15 years old now, a beautiful, intelligent teenager with her grandmother's strong will. She came every weekend. She helped with the classes. She learned from the older women. "Grandma," she said one Saturday while we were organizing threads, "when I grow up, I want to do something like this. Create spaces where people feel valued. You're going to do amazing things, sweetie. Do you think Mom could come someday? Just to see, not to stay." Victoria had completed her probation without any issues. She was working as a manager at a coffee shop. She lived in a small apartment. She was still in therapy. Her relationship with Emma was slowly improving. "Maybe someday," I answered. "When the time is right." Daniel had finished paying me back 6 months ago. $150,000 that took him 3 years to pay. But he did it. "We're even, Mom," he had said when he gave me the last check. "No," I had replied. "We'll never be even because this wasn't about money. It was about respect. And that, my son, you pay back every day with your actions." And he was. Daniel had changed. He was more present, more attentive, more aware. Not perfect, but better. That night, after everyone had gone, I sat in the garden. The rose bushes were more beautiful than ever, covering the entire fence with their fuchsia flowers. Dorothy sat next to me with 2 cups of tea. "What are you thinking about?" "About everything that happened. About how something so terrible turned into something so beautiful." "Because you turned it into something beautiful, Eleanor. It didn't just happen. You decided to do something with the pain." "I suppose I did." We drank our tea in silence, listening to the crickets, feeling the cool night breeze. "You know," I said finally. "For years I thought the worst day of my life was when Victoria screamed at me in front of everyone. But now I think it was the best." "Why?" "Because that scream woke me up. It made me see that I had stopped living my own life. And it gave me the courage to take it back." Dorothy raised her cup. "To the screams that wake us up." I clinked my cup against hers. "And to the courage to get up after." If you're listening to this story and you identify with it, if there is someone in your life who makes you feel small, invisible, worthless, listen to me closely. You matter. Your dignity is not up for negotiation. Your age does not make you less valuable. Your situation does not define your future. Setting boundaries is not cruelty. It's self-love. Defending your space is not selfish. It's a necessity. And it is never, ever too late to start over. I did it at 68 years old. You can do it at any age. Because true wealth isn't in the houses you own or the money you have. True wealth is the peace you sleep with every night, knowing that no one can take away what really matters. Your dignity, your worth, your right to live without humiliation. And that nobody can take from you. Unless you let them. I stopped letting them. Will you? If this story touched something inside you, if it made you feel like you're not alone, leave me a comment telling me where you're watching from. Write your country, your city. I would love to know that these words reached you wherever you are. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who is going through something similar, share this story. Maybe it's the push they need to wake up just like I woke up. Give this a like if you believe it's never too late to get your life back. And subscribe to keep sharing stories of women who stood up when the world told them to stay down, because these stories need to be told. And you need to know that you are not alone. You are never alone.